So, good day everyone. This is the continuation of my report, and in this video, we are going to discuss the Kendall's and Marzano's new taxonomy. So, Kendall and Marzano reframe the three domains of knowledge, and these are the information, mental procedures, and the psychomotor procedures. In Kendall's and Marzano new taxonomy, there are 6 levels of difficulties. For the first 4 levels of difficulties are under the cognitive system. So for the first level is the retrieval, the second was the comprehension, the third was the analysis, fourth is the knowledge utilization, and the fifth one is the metacognitive or the metacognition system, and the highest is the self-thinking system or the self system. So now we are going to start in the first level. So the first level of difficulty in under the cognitive system is retrieval. So under the retrieval, there are 3 processes, and those are the recognizing, recalling, and executing. So when we say recognizing, from the word recognize, this is determining the informations whether accurate, inaccurate, or unknown. So for the outcome verbs of recognizing, we have recognize, simplify, or identify, or select from. So for the example of recognizing is the news about politics. So when you are listening to the news about politics, you are determining there what are the information is accurate and inaccurate. So the second one is recalling. This is when producing information on demand. So the outcome verbs are exemplify, list, name, label, describe, state, who, what, and where. So for the example of this is reviewing the previous lesson or discussion. So upon reviewing your previous discussion, you are giving the information on the moment or in the moment or on demand. So for the third one is executing. Executing is performing procedures without significant errors. So for the outcome verbs, we have use, demonstrate, show, make, complete, and draft. So for the example of executing, we have performing a dance activity. So when we are performing a dance activity, we should we performed it with a less error because we are performing in front of many people or in front of people, and that is our performance. And now, let's proceed to the second level of difficulty, which is the comprehension. So under the comprehension, there are 2 processes, and those are the integrating and symbolizing. So when we say integrating, it is discerned essential and non-essential elements. This is the actor or the act or process of uniting different things. So when we say integrating, or the example of integrating is retreat of different religions. So when we say integrating, these are the when we say integrating, this is to give chance to understand each other's belief and to spread out the respect of every religion. The next is the symbolizing. So symbolizing, these are the diagram crafts depict critical aspects of knowledge in a pictorial of symbolic form. So for example, or the outcome verbs rather, are symbolize, depict, represent, illustrate, draw, show, use models. And for the example is the road signage. So when we saw a road signage like stop, no U-turn, and etc. That is the example of symbolizing or a symbol. So next is the third level of difficulty. We have the analysis. So under the analysis, there are 5 processes, and those are the matching, classifying, analyzing, generalizing, and specifying. So when we say matching, this is to create analogy or a metaphor. It's simply corresponding to the thing that is related to or equal. So for the outcome verbs of this matching, we have categorize, compare and contrast, differentiate, discriminate, and of course sort. So for the example, we have match the dog and the owner. So we need to match the dog to his or her owner and the owner to his or her dog. We can't match, or we can put the dog to the other person, and the other person we can't match it to the other dog because it's no longer called matching. The next is the classifying. So it identifies the superordinate and subordinate categories of information. It is an investigative approach that involves sorting objects or events into categories. For the outcome verbs, we have classify, organize, and sort. And for the example, we have is organizing the coins in 5, 10, and 20. So we have a 5 peso coin, 10 peso coin, and 20 peso coin. So we are going to classify those coins into its value into 5, 10, and 20. So that is classifying. So let's proceed to analyzing. Analyzing, it identify and explain the factual or logical errors in knowledge. It's simply typical for purposes of explanation and interpretation. So for the outcome verbs, we have assess, critique, diagnose, evaluate, edit, and revise. So for example, evaluating the movie you watch. So after you watch the movie, you need to evaluate it. You need to evaluate what you have, understand what are the errors of the movie, what are the some improvements they need to improve, like that. So that is analyzing. What are your understandings about the movie? Next is generalizing. Generalizing, this is the inferring new generalization from known knowledge, and this is a general statement of concept based on the informations from specific cases. So for the outcome for example, we conducting an interview from different respondents and come up into one conclusion. So when we say, or when we are conducting interview in different respondents, they have their different opinions, they have their different ideas about the topic, and those ideas and topics are basis to the conclusion or to the generalization of the interview and to the result, the generalization of the result. Last is the specifying. Specifying, arguing for cause and predictions. It's stating the fact or requirements correctly and precisely. So for the outcome verbs, we have predict, judge, and deduce. Example is giving the exact date of election. So for upcoming election, the COMELEC was able to give the precise date or the accurate date when is our election. So that is specifying. They specify what the exact date of the said event or any event, like that. That is specifying. And for the last cognitive system, And the fourth level of difficulty is the knowledge utilization. Under the knowledge utilization, there are four processes, excuse me, and those are the decision making, problem solving, experimenting, and investigating. For the first thing is the decision making. It is to defend your choices. It is to defend your choices and or decide what is your choice. For the outcome verbs, we have select and decide. Example, you are going to choose between your want and your need. So in decision making, you have a lot of things to consider between the two things, because want and need is a very different thing. So you need to think critically your decision if it is worth it, or it depends on your self criteria. Next is the problem solving. It is to develop this is to develop novel strategies to reach goals under difficult conditions. For the outcome verbs, we have solve and adapt. Example, making thesis paper. So in making thesis paper, we are solving a specific problem, and we are undergoing different processes, and those processes are too difficult to do. But of course, in doing a thesis paper, it is to prove and to come up what was the problem all about and what is makes sense. So next is experimenting. So it designs new methods of collecting data, try out new concepts or ways to do things. It uses scientific procedures. So for the outcome verbs, we have generate, test, theorize, and predict. For example, generating a new formula. So professionals are undergo to different procedures and processes to come up to the formula they wanted to do. So in experimenting, there's a lot of studies, there's a lot of examinations to do in doing your experimenting, so that it would be went well in the process of experimenting. It also uses scientific procedures because it is necessary for generating formula or in other experimenting. So the last one is investigating. So it generates the test hypothesis. It carries out the systematic formal inquiry to discover and examine the fact. So for the outcome verbs, we have research and investigate. Example, police examine the crime. So they are examining and they are investigating the crime from the setting that the crime happened. So they will be investigating the crime, if what is the real reason why it happens, who are the people involved in the crime, and etc. So that is investigating. So for the fifth level of difficulty is the metacognition. So under the metacognition, there are 5 processes, and these are monitoring accuracy, monitoring clarity, process monitoring, and specifying goals, and also examining motivation. The first thing is the monitoring accuracy. It is to determine the accuracy of understanding and defend judgments. So, for example, we have the doing your essays. When we are doing your essays or in the discussion, there's a lot of information will be given. So, when you are doing essays, your answers are all based on the discussion, and it all matters to how you defend your point based again to what you have learned, if it is related to the topic or not. So that is the monitoring accuracy. The next one is monitoring clarity. So determine how well they understand knowledge. And example, tests and quizzes. So after the discussion or the end of the discussion, commonly tests and quizzes are be given. So in tests and quizzes, it examines if your knowledge is cleared about the discussion, or if your knowledge is cleared about the informations you have learned. So now, let's proceed to the next, which is the process monitoring. In process monitoring, it is a self-monitor, the process of achieving goal. This means that in achieving our goals, there are processes to follow. And by that, we need to monitor that process or processes if it is going well, what are the achievements, if there is, improvements, changes, and to avoid committing errors unexpectedly. So for the next process is the specifying goals. Setting a specific learning goals and develop a plan for accomplishing a goal or develop a plan for accomplishing a goal. So in this process, setting a goal, our goals into specific would be a great way or a great help for us because we can develop our plans in accomplishing our goals cleared and direct to the point to come up into our goals as easy and a short period of time, and yeah, because we are specific to what we are wanted. So for the last process of metacognition was the examining motivation. So it examined the motivation to learn and improve. In this process, we're going to examine our motivations in ourselves if they are working into our growth and what would be the improvements to do and make it develop, and of course to learn from those motivations on why and how they became our motivations, what are the things they have to become our motivations, and etc. So that's all about the motivation, examining motivation and metacognition, and that's all about metacognition and its 5 processes. So now let's proceed to the next, or now let's proceed to the 6th level of difficulty, which is the self-system thinking. So under the self-system thinking or the self-system, there are 3 processes. And those are the examining emotions, examining efficacy, and examining importance. The first is examining emotion. So this is to identify your emotional responses associated with knowledge. So this means that we are going to examine our emotional aspect if we are responding well to the things we are interacting. And of course, if our emotional responses are based on our knowledge, or it is just based on our feelings without thinking other consideration about the topic or discussion. So the next process was the examining the efficacy. So it examined own beliefs to improve integration of knowledge. So in this process, this process means that we are going to examine our own beliefs on what are the things that beliefs produces effects in our own or in our knowledge, and to improve what are the informations we have. Okay, so for the last process of self-system was the examining importance. So examining importance, analyze the importance of knowledge to self. So when we say knowledge, it is a very important thing for a personal growth and development. When you say knowledge, it solves problems in life which can be solved with the power of knowledge. Knowledge sharpens also our skills like reasoning and problem solving. A strong base of knowledge helps brain function more smoothly and effectively. So that is the importance of knowledge to every individual and to ourselves. So that's all my report. I hope you gain something from my 2 discussions, which is the affective domain and the Kendall's and Marzano'S new taxonomy. Thank you for watching. God bless us all.